Hey there! In this video, I'm going to address 4 main points. The first one is how general English lessons work. The second point, what materials we're going to use in our lessons. The third point is how many lessons per week you need. And the fourth point is how do you actually start? So first of all, general English lessons are the perfect fit for you if your goal is to improve your overall English level. In these lessons, we will work on your reading, listening, writing, speaking, pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. The amount of time that we're going to dedicate to each of these skills will vary depending on where you are in life and what your goals are. Let's say you're working for an international company and you talk to people from different countries in English every single day. You likely will have pretty good listening skills, so maybe we don't need to spend much time on them. Another example, maybe you're really great at writing. Your grammar is on point, your vocabulary is excellent, but when it comes to speaking, you really struggle. You kind of can't pull together everything that you need to fast. And so you don't know what to say, what the best way to express that idea is. In this case, maybe we need to spend more time in speaking. It's important to understand that all these skills are kind of intertwined. For example, you can't really be good at speaking if you don't have enough words to express your ideas. Or let's say you can't really be good at speaking if you don't know grammar and you say things like, I was making food. That doesn't make sense. So in order to be good at speaking, you need to work on a lot of different skills. And I'll make sure to provide you with everything you need during our general English lessons. What this means is, for example, if your goal is to improve your speaking, we're not going to just practice speaking. For example, if your listening skills are kind of not where you want them to be, we'll dedicate a lot of time to that. What could that be? For example, let's say somebody says, I can't do this. And you don't know if the person is saying, I can or I can't. You don't hear that T. So what you'll learn is that when we say, I can do it, I can do it. Can instead of can is how we say it without the not. But if you're saying, I can't do it, that T, you really won't hear it very clearly, but the word can is going to be really loud. So these small things will be part of how we address and actually improve your listening. Because, for example, most books provide you with an opportunity to practice your listening skills, but not really learn all these things that make listening so hard. But we'll do that, and that will in turn also improve your speaking in this example. I just want to mention real quick that the improvement of one skill can be the goal, but it can also be the means of achieving a different goal. So here's an example. Let's say somebody really wants to improve their reading. So of course they need to do a lot of reading practice, but one of the things they need to improve their reading is to know enough words. And how do you do that? Well, you learn a lot of words, and then what? You practice them through listening, reading, speaking, writing. So reading in this example is the goal, but also it's the means of learning new vocab that will then in turn improve your reading. The point I'm trying to make here is that all these skills, they don't just exist separately from each other. They don't exist in a vacuum. So we will need to practice all of these things, but the amount of time that we dedicate to each of the skills is going to vary. For general English lessons, we will always have some sort of a book from a reputable publisher like Cambridge, Oxford, National Geographic. So the student's book is something we'll be using a lot in class. You will also have a workbook. This is something you will use for homework, and online practice. This is also something that you'll be using for homework. When you learn something for the first time, you forget most of it within about a week. And in order to make sure that doesn't happen, you need to go back and work on the same material again. And so having this structure of a book and a workbook and an online practice really makes it much easier for us to help you actually remember something for a long time, not just for the time of the lesson when we're learning it for the first time. So for example, we learn something in class, and then in about a week, I ask you to practice that in the workbook. It's not going to be the same exercises, but it's going to be the same topic. Then we do something else in class, I prepare some game to practice that stuff, and then maybe in a month or two, I ask you to do the same, not the same, but the exercises for the same topic in the online practice. This ensures that you learn something, then a little bit of time goes by, you practice it again, then a little bit more time goes by, you practice it again, and this keeps happening. And the gaps between the study sessions increase. This is what we call spaced repetition, which is one of the most important things you need to do when you're trying to memorize something, understand and memorize something for a long time. Now, on top of the book, of course, there will always be a lot of additional materials. The type of materials will really depend on you, your progress, how well are you doing? For example, let's say we study conditionals in the book and we do the exercises and all's good, and I prepare some sort of a maybe speaking game, maybe board game to practice more in an active way to produce the language. Maybe you do some writing exercise at home to produce the language in writing. But then maybe you still struggle a lot. And I will see that in our lessons, and I'll make sure to prepare some extra materials to allow for additional practice. Because keep in mind that books are meant for like an average person. There's no such thing as an average learner. So I will adjust our lessons and your homework to you. We will do games, also some maybe grammar exercises. It's really going to depend. Often I'll have to make something for you because I'll want to combine several things that we studied from the book and the additional stuff. So maybe I'll have to create exercises just for you. And that's just part of our lessons and part of my job. Now, a lot of people are wondering if my lessons are fun. And I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of hard work. It can't just all be fun. That's not the point. The point is to have progress. And we can't always just be having fun and playing games. That is part of the learning process, but not the entirety of it. So it will be hard, but also I'd like to say that my lessons are pretty engaging. I always create opportunities for you to practice in a way that's enjoyable. Because if it's enjoyable, you're not going to feel like, oh, I have English lessons to go to. I need you to be sometimes maybe excited, sometimes maybe like, okay, I guess I'll do it. That's fine. Life happens. Life's busy. So how do I make sure that our lessons are engaging? Well, first of all, there's always going to be some sort of a structure. And the structure will change. But what will not change is the fact that we will be doing different things. And when you're doing a lot of different things, it's gonna feel better. To add more fun to that, we'll use interactive quizzes, we'll play board games, card games, we'll do role plays and debates. So there will be plenty of fun things to do. Speaking of the number of lessons that is optimal, I'd say that 2 lessons per week are the absolute minimum. Now, does that mean that if you do just 1 lesson per week, it's not going to matter? No. Of course, any amount of study is better than no study. But if you have a certain goal to achieve, if you want to see some amount of progress, doing 1 lesson a week is just a drop in the ocean. It's like, let's say you want to get more like muscular and you go to the gym 15 minutes a week. Are you going to get more muscular? No, unlikely. Well, maybe over the course of 10 years, but not soon enough to feel like something's happening. Is it good for you to do 15 minutes of gym per week? I mean, it's better than 0, of course. So it's kind of similar here. And that's why I only accept students with the minimum number of lessons, like 2 lessons per week being the minimum number. Now, is it like always better if you do, let's say, 8 lessons a week? Not necessarily. So I need you to understand that my main goal is to make your study routine more sustainable. What I don't want is for you to do a ton for a month and then quit. Improving your English is a marathon, not a race. And for this reason, I don't want you to do too much or too little. It needs to be optimal. And in my professional experience, 4 lessons per week is the optimal number. And just for a bit of context, I'm currently taking Spanish lessons and I do 4 lessons per week. I'd like to do more, but that's just not sustainable. I'm busy. And so 4 lessons per week is enough for me to feel like I'm improving, but also not to overwhelm me such that I just can't handle it anymore. So I'd say 4 is the magic number. So let's say everything I'm telling you makes a lot of sense to you and you're ready to start. Now what? So the first step would be the needs analysis lesson. This is when we meet and we have a pleasant conversation. And at the same time, I pay attention to your current level. I learn about the things you want and I try to figure out where what I think you need and what you want overlap. And I explain that to you. An example of that would be a person who is at a B1 level who comes to me and they're like, I just want speaking practice. I just want to speak. But what they don't realize is that just speaking practice is not actually going to bring them the result that they're hoping for. So during this class, I explain why maybe that's not the best option. Or maybe I agree. Maybe somebody's at a C1 and all they need is speaking practice. So it's my job to kind of give you the information during that class, and then you can make the best decision for yourself with that information. So we meet, we talk, I kind of get an understanding of your level, and then based on all of this information, I put together a welcome test and I send it to you. I'll send you an email, I'll explain how to do it, where to do it. And that test will allow me to see some things that I can't really get during the speaking lesson, the needs analysis lesson. So for example, I can't see how good you are at writing, because when we write, we have an opportunity to think, which is not something we have when we speak, not to the same extent. So I can get a better, deeper understanding of your grammar. I will also include some listening practice. And then based on all of this information, I'll be able to pick the best level for you. Maybe it's B1, B2, C1, C2, who knows? And it's at this point that we can actually start. We agree on the schedule and we start. If you have any questions that I haven't answered, please don't hesitate to reach out to me by email, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever works best for you. You can message me and say, hey, Tina, I have a question. And then whatever the question is. Or, hey, Tina, I'd like to take your general English lessons. And I'll be happy to respond as soon as I can. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you soon.